Okay, Jen. The reason I reach out to you again, first of all, because I'm really curious about your opinion, and then just share a couple of things with me about
Hmm.
Quincy Jones, of course. Such a sad story.
Sure.
It's like such a loss. And
Yeah.
can you just share with us that what Quincy meant to you as a person and then as a musician?
Gosh, it feels like we've lost a piece of our royalty because Quincy has always been this giant who was like a beacon who sat on the top of a hill and shown us all the way.
Hmm.
And this is for so many decades. I I'm just heartbroken. I really am. You know, I harken back to when I met him. Stevie Wonder introduced me to him. Stevie had come to see me in studio in LA, and um, and we walked down the street from my studio to a studio where Quincy Jones was recording, and and he Stevie introduced me, and the first thing that Q said to me was, "Are a day apart."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, really?" Because I didn't know when his birthday was, but my birthday is March 15th, and his is the 14th. And I found out from friends of his at that point that he had this computer brain
Hmm.
where he
Unbelievable.
stored all of this trivia information, and he could just regurgitate it. Dexter Wansell can do that too.
Hmm.
Yeah, Dexter can remember list of words that you give him. Give him 20 words in a list. Some of the words he doesn't know the meaning of. You have to spell them for him because he can't pronounce them. I gave him some really hard words like acetylsalicylic acid or paradamina.
Hmm.
Words that I know he wouldn't just know right out the cuff. And Quincy was just one of those special guys. I remember my kids, my three kids. Well, they were older teenagers, I guess, and they were at the Radio City Music Hall. They were going to the one of the award shows. Maybe it might have been the MTV, might have been the American Music Awards, but they were at the stage door, and Quincy came there, and my son introduced himself to Q, and he Joey was saying, well, Quincy thought his seats might be better than the ones my kids
Hmm.
had. So he took them all inside with him. And they sat in his section. I mean, just a dear, just a real dear. I I recorded Everything Must Change of his, and he told me that he liked my version. And I remember I was performing in California, and somewhere in LA County, and Bernard Eichner,
Yeah.
uh, who who co-wrote it with Q, was in the audience,
Wow.
and he was graceful too, because I introduced him when we were playing the intro of the song, and I gave him the mic, and I sat down in his seat, and he sang it for the audience. So I'm thinking they were birds of a feather because I didn't um, I didn't associate with Bernard after that. We had that one meeting, but he was just so gracious, and I'm sure he that rubbed off on him from Q because Q was about as nice as they get.
Quincy was here in Budapest for sure once. I'm not sure how many times earlier. And then
Yeah.
since I spoke, some of the people who met him personally was
Mm.
everyone about he was super super kind, super open personality, really a nice human being. About automatically that he's really open to help if there is anything. So such a personality. Meanwhile,
S-
as a musician, he was also a genius.
Oh, goodness knows. Oh, his genius had no bounds. Had no bounds.
During the period when he was working with Michael, and you also had personal relationship with Michael Jackson, uh, that was a time when you guys did something also together, being in the same studio as Quincy and Michael, or do you have any memory about that?
Well, Quincy, I wasn't when I went in the studio that was down the street from the studio he was recording in. I don't know who he was producing at the time, because okay, because we got in there, and um, he and Stevie were joking at each other, and Stevie sat down to the keyboard, and he played this song and he sang it, and Quincy was looking over his shoulder and saying, "Well, when did you write that?" And Stevie said, "Just now." And well, Stevie's just a dear.
Yeah.
There's he's exactly like your people are describing Q. But um, as far as when he was working with Michael to do what do you do? Killer, thriller,
Yep.
thriller, thriller. Yes, that was before I met Michael, I think, because Michael must have been 20, somewhere between 18 and 20 when I met him, because it was when Gamble and Huff were producing two albums on them. Remember when they
Yes.
left
Yep.
Motown
Yep.
and went to CBS?
There was some issue with the name, I remember, and they changed their name from
Right, they
Jackson
had to
5 to the
go from the
Jacksons.
Jackson.
Yep.
Exactly, because Barry owned the name, so they just changed it, to the Jacksons. Um, that was when when Michael and I became like mother and son.
Hmm.
He was having issues with his voice cracking, and me being a vocal coach, I worked, and I worked with children's voices since I was 12, because I played piano and organ for church choirs from the time I was 12 all the way through college, and a little after. And that's when Michael and I became close.
Yep.
And I remember Michael wanted me and my kids to take him to this amusement park. It was called Six Flags Over Georgia. It was just opening at that point. This was the late 70s. Yeah, I'm thinking it was the late 70s. Six Flags was just opening, and he was saying, "Well, I'd like for you and your kids to take me, to take me. I'll come to Atlanta, and y'all can take me to Six Flags over Georgia." And I thought it was a cool idea. I thought we could just disguise him, and it would
Yep.
be okay. But I remember I got home and I mentioned that to my mother, and she thought I'd lost my mind. It was like, you can't take that boy there, tell mom. What she did want me to do, though, she said, but you can bring him here and let me cook for him, because she had seen one of their concerts, and she said he worked too hard. So he needed feeding. So that's what she wanted to do for him. But then after after I remember when he bought his house, and he called it um not Wonderland. What did he had a and remember his house, if you've seen pictures, had it was it was surrounded with this amusement park that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
had built.
absolutely, absolutely.
So that told me, that told me why Michael was so anxious to go to Six Flags over Georgia, because that was his dream, to be surrounded by fun, that, amusement park type fun. Yeah,
Um,
but
yep,
my heart, I'm still heartbroken, I
yeah,
tell you.
yeah, yeah. Um, my next question about Quincy is that, you know, his legacy. Do you think that we can continually keep his legacy alive and there will be someone on his footsteps to following what he started to do for music and for the music industry?
Oh man, I certainly hope so. You know, um, well, both Gamble and Dexter told me that Tom Bell, Gamble
Yep,
Huff and Bell,
yep.
um, told Dexter that they found him quite comparable to Quincy
Hmm.
in ability, in just being a nice guy. So I'm wondering, Dexter just left UK like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, because they called me while they were over there, because there were there were 5 billboards that were celebrating the music of Gamble, Huff, and Bell around Britain. In fact, I'll WhatsApp them to you,
Wow.
because they took pictures.
Yeah,
They took pictures and put
please.
music to it. Yeah, but I my guess is, and this I have it on authority from Kenny Gamble and from Tom Bell, longer with us,
Yeah.
that Dexter, they they thought at the time that Dexter was the new Quincy Jones.
Hmm.
And
That's good to
Quincy
know.
loved Dexter's work as well.
Hmm. Okay, Jen. We are going to do this memorial show this Saturday. I spoke last night. I'm pretty sure you know. Um, Tom. Hold on for a second. Let me.
Mhm.
Tom. From so close. To Quincy. He wrote the
I
song.
think,
Yeah, she's out of my life, and then it was
right, for
such a,
Michael.
yeah, such a very nice conversation with him about Quincy,
Oh,
and then same thing, some personal memories with
mm-hmm.
Quincy. So we're gonna do this show this Saturday. I will send you over on your WhatsApp to the track list what I'm planning to presenting from him, and then
Beautiful.
from work, and then yeah, thank you very much for giving me this interview, and then with this interview, of course, be way more qualified show this Saturday. So yeah, that's it.
Great, great. That's so kind of you to honor him that way. He more than deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you planning to travel more this year, or you gonna stay the rest of the year already close to your home?
Well, I'm gonna go to my southern home, um, in Atlanta for the holidays
Oh, okay.
until until after Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay.
So, and then I'll be coming back north.
Great. Okay, Jen, thank you very much for your time. I really
You're
appreciate
so
it.
welcome.
And then let's keep in touch, and I hope we're gonna see each other pretty soon to give you a big hug.
I
So
look forward to
yeah,
that.
all the best for you. Take care. Thank you
All the
very much.
best to you.
Bye bye. Bye bye, Jen.
Okay.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.